So at some point, you'll notice when attention is in the thought gate or in consciousness, there's an endless letting go, a cascade of letting go that never ends. Letting go of thoughts, letting go of grasping, letting go of view. And it's not something you're doing. The solidifying tendencies in consciousness are dissolved. So then that endless letting go is intrinsic to consciousness. It's just a flow of consciousness in no specific direction, and the letting go is endless. Now, this is a really fascinating recognition. It's very freeing. And initially, there will be a lot of grief with it. Now, the grief simply has to do with beliefs about what seems to be there that's being let go of, or what's being forced to do the letting go. These aren't simple beliefs, they're more like composite beliefs, conglomerating into this sense of a self, and a world, and a will, personal will. So it can seem like a lot to let go of, but once those illusions are out of the way, and they will be, then there's no grief with it. There's no problem with it. It doesn't necessarily have an emotion tone at all, but it has a certain fascinating quality to it. It's quite something. It's endless stream of dissolution. It's beautiful. And then you realize that even to describe it as letting go doesn't make a lot of sense, because the sense of letting go is only in reference to what seemed to be there, the illusions, the illusion of solidity, the illusion of self, the illusion of center, the illusion of control. When we've dispelled those illusions and there's no reference point, then what does even loss mean anymore? What does falling away mean? What does free fall mean? And yet, there's definitely an experience of it. So what I point to at this stage of things, and we are talking about deep stage realization here for sure. So if this feels hard to get to, it's okay. Just feel into it, or hard to intuit what I'm talking about, or hard to resonate with. Just feel into it, or come back to it later if it doesn't click. But what we notice then is that that endless letting go, the unbinding at the level of concept, mind, framework, view, and even time and space as beliefs because they are, and self and other and world as beliefs because they are. As this unbinding becomes automatic, ongoing, fascinating, we then notice something even more fascinating. It's not a negation of something, as I mentioned, because there's nothing to negate anymore. It's a reflection, because consciousness is a reflection. And it is a reflection of what I'm just going to call the unconditioned. Maybe I'll call it the unborn, the uncolored. Uncolored by experience, by mind, by concepts, by theory, by self, illusion. It's a reflection of that. And that is wholly indescribable. Yet it's fascinating. You see that dissolution right in front of your face. But it's not just dissolution. Just as the Ninth Oxherding picture describes so beautifully, it's integration, disintegration. I observe the forms of integration and disintegration, and I'm ever blissful. So everything can be just as it is, because it's only symbolic. There is no isness. There is no there. There is no yes or no. There's no form, and there's no lack of form. There's no actually existing emptiness. Words completely fail here. Pointing of any kind completely fails here, because you can't get back to where you never left. Even those words fail because there's no one doing any of that. So trust the unbinding, trust the letting go, trust the grief, and just know the perceptions will clarify with time. The views, even though ultimately all views disappear, the views around that will correct, and then they can disappear. The view won't disappear until it's corrected. When there's a strongly held, skewed view, then it can be helpful to have a correcting view, which leads you directly into no view, which leads you directly into no thing apart, no inside, no outside, no form or emptiness. And yet, emptiness and form are not other than one another. Quite paradoxical. The unbound, the unbinding, not two. Practice, enlightenment, not two. Form, emptiness, not two.